Welcome everybody to Tazewell County. Yes, I know it's not the West Coast. Sorry about the little difference there, but while we're waiting for Oakfield to start, I just wanted to do a little bit more over here in this server. And well, let's just start off. This is on our dedicated server. Don't ask to join. It will eventually be available to most people over on the SimStation Discord. But I just have to wait for Giants to publicly release the map first, and then I'll go ahead and make that announcement. So until then, I appreciate your patience. What we are doing now is we're going to plant this field, and I guess I should also apologize for any lag, because sometimes, I don't know if it's this planter, it has each of these individual boxes modeled to move in the back, which is really nice. However, that also is a lot of physics to calculate, and I think the server has a little bit of problem with it, but we're just gonna see how it goes. We're planting corn. We are doing the even fields this year. All the even fields that we own will be corn. The odd fields will all be soybeans. And I wanted to do this field in particular because I've seen a lot of people do this incorrectly. The way that these waterways are farmed is field number 6 is all one field, right? So now in real life, or if you were cultivating, or if you had a smaller planter, you could drive in here and lift up a little bit. But since our planter is so wide, we don't really have that luxury. So you basically just drive right through it, and this is what guys do in real life. They drive right through it, and eventually the corn that's planted there is going to get squelched out by the grass. It's not really even going to grow. So it is a little bit harder on the equipment because this ground, this waterway is packed. It's not really, it hasn't been worked or tilled in years. So it's not perfectly ideal. You try to lift up your planter when you can, but for times like that, that is basically what you do. If you have some type of pattern with GPS auto shut off, you could possibly maybe run something through the waterway so that it would automatically stop planting seed in the waterway. I don't actually have GPS shut off myself, so I don't actually know how that part of it works, but I think that's possible. So remember, to the left here is another field, and straight ahead is going to be field 14. It looks like, I believe Wayne got a little bit confused and he accidentally planted soybean end rows to this field, but that's not the end of the world. Sometimes you actually do, for example, field 13, it might be nice to be able to access that field from the back here. So sometimes you do plant a little bit of a different crop to give you access to another field that you own. Sometimes you do that. So that's not too unrealistic. We'll just leave it. We don't need to cultivate that up or anything. Let's get rid of our GPS lines. We don't really need those. No, sir. We got our little, oops, we just got our little indicator down there. That's all we really need. Let's hop inside the cab here and hear the fan running. I did edit this a little bit to tune down the fan. Like I said, these, let's see, what else with this tractor? Was this tractor the, okay, so another thing I did is for my server, I edited this tractor to give us the front weight pack that is available in the European mod pack, but for some reason it's not available in this US mod pack. So I edited our version to be able to do that. So those playing on our server will be able to utilize that front weight. I probably should actually have a few front weights on this tractor, give us a little bit more traction for the front wheel drive, but yeah, no matter. We'll get that later. So actually, I probably should have done the rest of this short section down here before heading on up. I don't know. I guess it's fine. Missed a little spot there. Thinking ahead to version 2.1 of this map, I think that I really, now that I'm actually playing the map, I'm having a lot of fun playing this map with these guys on the server. I didn't really enjoy, it's just not a lot of fun to play a huge map by yourself, and that's why I never really enjoyed playing this map until now when I got the server, and even when I'm on by myself, it feels like I'm working with other people. So I am really enjoying it. But thinking ahead, because I haven't ever I really want to add the lime mod. I don't know if that's exclusive to Stop and Bach, but I think I should be able to figure out that fill type and convert it myself from 15 if it is exclusive to Stop and Bach or something like that. But I mean, it's just adding an extra fill type and then some layers onto the map. I don't think it should be too difficult. There it could almost have lifted up for an inch. Not really, no. See, like, our planter is only 6 rows in real life, so we actually stop and lift up the planter instead of driving all the way through the waterway. But, you know, I've always wondered why big farmers drive through the waterways and just continue planting through the waterways. It wastes a little bit of seed, but, I mean, it makes sense. You can't really lift it up because your planter's so big. If you lift up that side, obviously that side's going to lift up, and so that's just fine. But anyway, yeah, this is how you plant this field. This is also how you would harvest it. The only difference is cultivating it. Obviously, then you would lift up at the waterways because you don't want to drag your ripper or whatever your implement is through the waterway. So you typically, well, I'll just show you when we get back down there. The way we're playing on this server, we're trying to play as realistic as possible. So that means we plant our end rows first, and some people call them the return rows. So I planted 48 end rows. Give us a lot of room to turn around on in the fall when we're harvesting, and also it gives us plenty of room to turn around here in the tractor. So let's, it's like we might have 48 more rows here going back. And we got Michael over there doing his thing. And there we go. And let's continue on planting corn. So here's a little bit tricky. I might actually be able to lift up and continue on to that other side there. But remember, when you plant corn, you want as many straight rows as possible. So you just kind of gotta do it. And I hope that kind of looks like it's been planted already. I hope that's not been planted. That kind of looks like planted texture. It looks like someone made a little whoopsie there. If you just follow the lines, in future reference, if you follow the lines, you see how that little, the little sliver there in 6. You know, sometimes you might have to press escape and go and zoom in and get rid of all that stuff. And if you zoom in, you actually see that that little portion of sliver, that's all field 6. And I actually did this mini map this way on purpose because the different textures basically denote different fields. So that's something to remember in the future. That is actually part of field 6, but it does look planted. Let me go through. Maybe the map's updated by now. Yeah, see, that's already been planted. So that's a little bit of a whoopsie. That should actually be corn because it is actually part of field number 6, a field that we call Grandma's, because Grandma, my mom's mom had owned it when we were little. But so I guess we will continue just this little bit right here straight, and then we don't want to plant over in that other field, so the width kind of works out just perfectly there. Actually, oh, that's a rough angle on the planter. Let's continue on down to the other path here. Let's try to minimize avoiding a little bit of compaction there. But yeah, so traditionally, we would kind of continue straight through over there because that part of the field should be corn. It's technically part of this field. And I discussed this a little bit earlier, but the reason why you even if you can cultivate it, so for example, you might have seen over there when we first planted the border of field 6 and 13, you know, we actually went and plowed. Whoops, that's grabbed the IC node there. We actually went through the map before we started. We actually plowed up the borders between the field because this is how it looks in real life. However, this is one field and this is one field. You can, when you work the ground, you can work it all together. But the reason why you want to plant things separately, you want to keep things isolated, is for harvesting and for basically tracking a whole number of things. Crop insurance for one. You want to be able to track that. So you have to. You also want to be able to track your what you make on each field. So that's your input costs, things like seed and fertilizer, versus your profit from the field. What you get out of it, how much your yield is, how much your yield per acre. And with that, you have, for example, like with the Green Star here, maybe. Now I don't use Green Star myself. We use something called precision planting. It's we use a little seed since 2020, but it can also link in with a yield monitor, and with that you can see yield maps over the entire field. You can analyze your downforce pressure that you used over a given portion of the field versus the yield. You can actually see, for example, if you have a little bit of extra compaction where, like, say an auger wagon drives across the field diagonally, in the next season you can actually see those same auger wagon tracks, because it'll actually track your yield, and it'll show tracks through the field where the yield is significantly less. So, like, it has color mapping. I should actually pull up some of our maps that you can look at there, so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. But it's a way to track things, and that's the reason why you keep everything segregated, so you know your input and you know your profit on the field. Because a lot of these fields also have different soil types. You might think that a field right next to each other would have the exact same soil. Well, they don't. A lot of times they even vary within a field. So then you have something called variable rate seeding, where different soil types have different seed. They basically have different yield based on the different seed populations. So one soil type might be 30,000 per acre. One soil type might be 35,000 seeds per acre. Something like that, just as a rough example. So real quick over here, I'll get on back to that, but we're going to want to, really we'd be on GPS and we'd set ourselves as an offset. So we're just going to set it right there and drive straight. And the reason we do this is, what I would really be doing is, I actually don't want GPS. So say if we have 30-inch rows, I would actually want to be offset 15 inches over here. So that way, you know, you have a row here, and then 30 inches over, you have a row here, and then 30 inches over, you have a row here. Well, obviously, I don't want to be on the same GPS track, because these are going to be overlapping, and they're going to be digging up the same holes that we just planted. But they're not going to be planting anything, because they already sense that this is planted ground, so they'll be shut off automatically. However, we don't want to just do the normal GPS path, even though there's no other field out here. Like I already talked about, this is rough, and we don't want to drag the planter through the ground out here. So we have, you know, most of the planter over here. I should actually be over a few more rows, so this isn't, you know, minimize the wear and tear on the equipment, right? So I should be over a little bit further, and then you basically set the offset like 15 inches, for example. So these are, instead of dragging in your actual row, they're dragging in between each row. And even though they're not planting anything, you want that, because otherwise they could potentially be ripping up the seed that you already planted. Especially if you're on GPS exactly on the same row, those little openers are going to open up your hole with seed that you just planted. And yeah, that's not what you want. So let's just continue on here. Just wanted to highlight that small note for anybody who might be curious why I was doing that. And actually, I think those things were row cleaners. That technically wasn't an opener. But anyway, you have, yeah, those were cleaners. The opener was further back, I believe, if you look. So you have the little cleaners there that kind of brush away your stalks and stuff like that. And then you have the opener, and then this is the actual metering unit where it drops the seed right down in there. And then you have the closers around the back there. Just a little bit of basics there. Actually, those don't really look like closers. Those look like little... Those look like the opposite of... that's weird. Closers on the planters I've seen are solid wheels. They're not... Huh, maybe that's some new technology. I'm sure it's like that for some reason, if those are really what they really have in real life. Like I was saying, we have a solid wheel for a closer. Anyway, let's... so we have field 6 planted with corn. Was field 8... oh. That should have been corn as well. But I think I did mention to Wayne to plant that as... I think I mentioned him plant that as soybeans. I think that was my mistake. Oh well, let's drive back up. We got to turn around now and finish planting the rest of the field as corn. And I do hope this will give you guys some insight as to how we're playing this server. We're going to try to play it as realistically as possible, and part of that is a learning experience. So, not to call out Wayne in particular, but I just know it was him who planted. So I know people do like to play realistically, and I will ask you, if I see you making mistakes, I will ask you to correct that mistake or play realistically, just because it does ruin my immersion when I am out here on the server. And then just one quick note, you might be experiencing some lag. I have noticed, I think it's from this planner and all the individual parts that are moving. It's really a lot to calculate. I think that I need to maybe edit this just for the multiplayer server and cut back on the parts that are moving, just because that's a little bit, it's a little bit harsh. We get moments of lag like that. Whoops, and that's not good. Let's go back a little bit. We're gonna drop the planner where we should have, and there we go. All right, so make sure we're down all the way, and now we can take off. So it looks like we're gonna have to do the same thing that we did down there at the other end of the field and just plant a little strip right here. If you actually look at the map, I think that the grandma's field actually owns this lane, but the other fields have an easement on it, not the other way around. So I think this lane actually technically belongs to field number 6, not number 7. I forget how that works. I'll have to look at the real life plat map, but yeah, I mean, so actually, you know what? Why don't we just do that real quick? Just 1 second, guys. All right, so here you go. If you ever want to know the field boundaries in real life, right here, zoom on into this corner here, and we are over in the Groveland section. You can see right there is Tazewell County, and here's the farm. So right down here is going to be, yeah, that's the farm. So this will be grandma's. So all you got to do is click on a parcel. You can see that the easement here, it actually has the easement right there. You can click on the I and parcel information, and this is all public data, guys. You could also go to, not parcel information. I think you want, well, I mean, you can see the tax data that we paid, and look at this. There's how much taxes we paid, and there's my mom's name. So yeah, I mean, all this data is available public, and this is how I determined a lot of the fields. But you can see clearly right here, you got a 20-acre field, 26-acre field rather, and it is, that part of the field is definitely right there. And here's the waterway. You can see that waterway path. This is not planted in real life. Oh look, we got we got some field work out there. I think we were putting in tile. You can see the tile path. That looks like putting in tile. I'm sure that's what it is. Yep. Yeah, there's a tile truck. So we put in some tile to help this drain a little bit more. And I think it might just drain right to there. You can kind of see the path. And then you can imagine how this would all drain down here. But you can even look at the texture. If you get on here and you can see the field. So this looks like it's a little bit crooked. That's not planted. That's going to be, it looks like he's already cultivated that maybe, because he wouldn't plant that crooked in real life. He's got GPS on his, yeah, he wouldn't do that diagonally. He's got GPS on all of his equipment. Yeah, it looks like maybe did we cultivate that diagonally? I'm not sure why that's showing diagonally. That's kind of weird. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, you can clearly see that is the boundary. That used to be a waterway, but we cultivated that in, so that's not a waterway anymore. And then over here, yeah, so that's the waterway here. So this is all one field. So if you go to plant and harvest this field, you would plant straight through the waterways. And then, of course, like I said, if you were cultivating, what you would do is actually you would do it just like, well, actually, let's use this example. So you would come up here close to the waterway, but then you'd lift up the planter. You'd go over on the other side and you drop it once you're clear of the waterway. And then when you're done at the very end, you can kind of see tracks where we might have already done the same thing. When you're done at the very end, you come back along here and you cultivate this path along the curb. So when you're doing any type of field work, like cultivating or plowing, you always do the end rows last, right? You can see the marks there even where we did some field work along the end. You always do these end rows last because you're turning around on all this dirt, so you rip it up afterwards. However, when you plant and when you harvest, well, when you harvest, you have to do the end rows first, right? So you can turn around on it. But when you planting, You always do the end rows first for several different reasons. I discussed this a little bit on the stream, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but for several different reasons. For one, it marks where to drop and pick up the planter every single time. If you were to do the long rows first and say, I think it's about here, lift up and turn around, and then, I think it starts about here and drop it, well, eventually you're going to get either some gaps where you put down the planter too early, or you lifted it up too early or too late, and either one's going to lose your yield because either you're not going to have a crop there, or it's going to be overlapping onto the end rows, and then you're not going to have proper spacing, and that's going to also hurt the yield. Another reason you don't typically do the end rows first is I've seen reports that other farmers have done tests themselves, and if you do the end rows last, for example, you might think it's better because you're not turning over on a crop that you've already planted. However, it's a little bit worse. If you think about let's jump into the game here. If you think about how a planter works, all of these individual planter boxes have downforce on them, and they can actually be, modern planters, they can actually be adjusted mechanically, automatically, from the cab up there. But all these planters are going to have downforce on them, and so that downforce is set at a given amount. And then when it goes over a bump, say, that you have already been turning around on, so if you didn't plant the end rows first, you're driving down here, so say you're going to turn on ground that hasn't been planted yet. So when you eventually go to plant that ground, you're going to be driving on, bump, tire track, and then go a little bit more, bump, tire track. So that's all what, thanks, Michael. That's all the reason why you typically plant the end rows first. So I will go back to there, and we'll just go back to planting. Field 2 is going to be corn. I'll do, Field 2 is corn. There you go. But anyway, that's another reason why you plant the end rows of a field first. I think we'll probably go over to help Michael out at some point. I'm going to go over to 10 and plant 10 and field number 4, because those are also both corn. So we'll get a move on here in just a little bit. But anyway, that's part of the methodology of why you do things the way you do. Everything's done for a reason on a farm. You don't just do things willy-nilly. And I mean, sometimes you can try new things and experiment, because that's the reason why we know what to do, what we do, is because people in the past have experimented and found out the best way to do things. And then, of course, as technology comes along, it gets better, and you can do things that you couldn't do in the past, etc. So that's let's drop it right there. And we'll just keep our center right on the marker here, right on the line. That should be pretty good, I think. Yeah. Should probably fill up with fertilizer again before we take off and go. Looks like we got another player coming on in. Unfortunately, we only have 2 planters. And this is part of while we're small here, it's part of the problem, because we don't want to buy too much of everything, because then when we don't have people, we're wasting money on tractors and equipment that Platinum Turbo, welcome Platinum Turbo, good to see you. Hopefully he let's see, I'll be able to chat with him in a little bit here. Let's just finish this field off, and but this way I hope the people playing this server also watch this video, so that way they can see the reason for the madness a little bit of what we do, why we do. Typically when you spray the outline of a field first, so it's going to be typical to cultivating, with the exception of you typically don't want to spray the grass and the waterway, right? I guess if it's fertilizer, then it's not horrible, but you're kind of wasting it. But if you go to spray a field, you typically spray around the outline of the grass waterways first, and then the end rows, and then you can drive down, and then you can stop spraying when you're spraying the pesticide or whatever bad stuff it is, so you don't kill all the grass, and then continue on the other side. But anyway, that's spraying and spreading. It works slightly different than all the other actions, just because you have to worry about the waterways in that regard. But I think we're probably going to want to go around on the road. I think that'll probably be the best plan for getting out to field 4 without compacting any of the ground. In real life, sometimes we drive up that waterway between field 2 that kind of splits field 2, and then even if field 3 is planted, we have row crop tires, so everything is spaced out to fit in between 30-inch rows. So we do actually sometimes drive up the rows that we've already planted up there to field 4, just so we don't have to drive around on the road. There's a few things you have to do on a planter. For example, like, well, on this planter it doesn't matter as much, but I bet you'd still lock those markers in place. But we don't have GPS. We have markers on the side of our planter, and our planter doesn't fold up since it's only 6 rows. So, I mean, it's just a couple extra steps that you have to do, locking hydraulics so they don't accidentally unfold on an unsuspecting car. Funny story, one time we were actually out. Oh, this is hilarious. We were out it was actually on field 9. It was getting dark. My brother was coming out to relieve me. He was going to plant a little bit later into the night. I think I was getting about ready to go home. And I was telling him we were having a hydraulic problem on one of the markers. So I was showing him the hydraulic problem. Look, you have to move the lever like this. And sometimes it sticks, so just pull it back and move it back forward again. And then you'll be able to... then you'll be able to plant, but you have to watch it because sometimes it moves up like this and then down and then up and down. So you have to like move the handle up and down so that way you can keep it on the ground, because without GPS, if you lose your ridge marker, it's kind of scary to try to stay on target there. I need a refill. Can you pull PPINDICULAR to my back so I can refill? There we go. We're going to go up just a little bit more so he can pull in, and then we're going to go around on the road so that we can, I think he'll see what I mean. So something like this, he'll be able to pull in perpendicular to me. And then we're going to go around to the road and plant field 2 or 4. I think we'll start at 2. I think I'll go to 2. Looks like Michael is... no, I'll go to 4. The access to number 2 is... I think Michael... I don't know what he's doing. He might have gotten confused again. I'm not sure. But anyway, yeah, that's the reason why we do what we do. And I do hope you all understand that. And if you have any questions, let me know. I think this will be good enough here. Might be. I can also back up a little bit. No! Oh, are you going to turn around? You might just be going to turn around. I was going to try backing up. He's, oh, Michael. If Michael needs seed, I gotta, here. All right, there we go. Let's stop rolling backwards and move on out, and we'll get that tender for him while Platinum Turbo comes back and gets our, you know, it would be nice to have a smaller utility tractor around the farm for stuff like this. We don't quite need all the horsepower for moving those carts to and from the Sun Ag and, yeah, pulling the seed tender around. I mean, for the seed tender, we could actually use the pickup truck, but Platinum Turbo's got that with the fertilizer. So let's use what we have. And go on up a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so let's go help out Michael. And where are you gonna be? Let's see. I will, it might be easier to go through the shed, actually. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so if you just stop right there, I will, should be able to feed. Oh, that's perfect. Perfect. Stop. Stop. All right. I think you got it. No, stop. It would, you know, it would help if I was on, Discord with these guys. Let's see, the auger is on the wrong side, so I need to turn around as well. But I think we'll be able to get them like this. he just backs up a bit. We need to turn around, of course. And it's just you know, all this space, and they're just a little bit too tight. No, 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 no! Stay there, stay there, stay there, stay there, Michael. Stay, 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 stay. Yeah, I should be on Discord with these guys. It just makes it a little bit easier. But there we go. We're gonna try to. I think he's got to back up a little bit. Why do I keep pressing enter? All right. There we go. I think if he backs up to me, he should be able to get the trigger. We're gonna pull on the field just a little bit. There we go. Goes just a little bit more. A little bit more. A little bit more. Does he get the trigger now? Can you refill? I think he should get the option. I think the trigger's on his side. He should see the trigger. Do you not see it? Well, maybe not. Do I have to turn mine on or something? Let's look at this real quick. I don't want to unload. Pipe is, do I need to go alongside you? I don't want to unload. I can't do it now. I gotta wait till the exclamation mark disappears. Can you... Do you have the trigger, Michael? Yeah, there we go. I just gotta stop the tractor. And... there we go. Right? There we go. Yeah. Yeah, it's going. Yeah, okay. There we go. So, we got it now. We just gotta finish filling up. And then he's gotta remember, I'll just remind him to switch to corn. And there we go. Okay. Let's move that back now. And we could probably actually move that back to the actual seed storage. Yeah, let's just do some backing up here. Let's get our steering wheel. Makes it a little bit smoother. And well, smooth is relative, I guess, right? All right. That's pretty good. And there we go. All right, so let's just turn you off now. And now we got to find the pickup truck that I don't know where Platinum Turbo parked it. Gotta get that pickup truck. There we go. All right, so we'll go around and we'll be able to go through the... I think if we just go through our own shed, then we'll be able to hook up with our planter that we have parked there. If, well, unless this one's empty. Are we empty? We're not empty. We're good. All right, so now we just gotta... Here we go. This is why I parked right here. I don't know. I might actually back up the tractor to this. I don't know. You know, driving on the field just on the edge isn't the end of the world if it works. Yeah, I think it'd probably be easier to get out and back up the tractor. Okay, let's get this. Let's hop in our 7280R. Back up just slightly. Just slightly. And then I think what is it? The overload trigger is from over here, so I gotta, that's right. You know, my biggest complaint about the tractor is I always press shift to run, but shift enables the IC automatically. I should probably try to change that, but, okay, well, perhaps we were not close enough. That can be arranged, though. Maybe. Oh, goodness. Yeah. Well, I thought I would have been close enough. Okay, well, let's just turn around on the field. I hate doing this. But sometimes you got to do it. Well, you don't have to do it. We could have just backed up and done it. Oops. That didn't happen. That would have ruined the day, quite literally. Perhaps it might be. Is it from the tractor side? I thought it was from the truck side. I guess. I mean, it's clearly not from the tractor. Wait, did I have the planter selected? Do I have to be unfolded? Is that what it is? I might have to be unfolded. Okay, let's pull up here. I forget, there's so many little things. Let's pull up here and unfold. Alright, so we're gonna unfold that and then pull the tractor up. And then maybe we'll be able to get the trigger then. I thought it didn't matter. Oh, maybe it wasn't. Okay, so I think I needed to have it lowered. I think that's when I've seen it work before. You gotta have it lowered. I don't think it was lowered. So unfold and lower, and then I think it'll work. I think that's what we were doing before. Yeah, and I am sorry, Platinum, about the lag spikes. I don't know. I get them occasionally, but I haven't gotten them as much this time. So I think we gotta lower the planter. And then I forget if it's from the tank or from the tractor. Running back and forth. I guess I should say something here. Why can't we lower? There we go. I guess I should say that I do know you wouldn't use these tanks to refill a seeder in real life, but I mean, sometimes you just make gameplay concessions because they only have one big type of big crazy type of fertilizer. So I think yeah, okay, so I could do it from here. That's weird. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of weird. Let's get our truck back off the field here. Yeah, so I don't know. That's I don't really know what the problem we were having there was because whoops. That's a problem. Okay, yeah, that's a little bit of a problem there. These are all, I have done these MR converts myself, but they are still a work in progress. So if you, in case you were wondering why I didn't release them public yet, well, that's why, because I haven't fully tested them out yet. And appears to be when you are going backwards and back that wheel into the rig there, it kind of goes crazy. So that's something I need to work on and adjust. But for now, let's hit the road and let's get things moving. Make sure our beacon's working. Yep. All right, so we are going to go on off. I think Michael said he's going to be working number 2. Yeah, looks like it. So we're going to go off to either number 4 or 10. I guess maybe 4 first. It's really, really small for this size of a planter. Oops, perhaps. Oof. Perhaps we should have waited with the wide turn we have to take. That's what I was going to say. Fortunately, he didn't hit us, so we're good. We're all good there. Anyway, yeah, there's that fan. For some reason, it's much louder when you turn it over there. Let's see if we can get a glimpse of Michael without wrecking. That could prove difficult. Let's actually work number 4, so we're working at least in somewhat proximity of him. So we're somewhat close here. I think that'll be fun. It's always fun to work together with people on a big server like this. Let's slow down and get over. And there we go. We can take up the whole road again. As long as their cars aren't trying to pass us, yeah, I think we're good. All right, so let's turn into here. We can turn off our hazard. And we'll just go straight forward. And there we go. All right. So now start the unfolding process. And, oh, boy, that's going to be way into their yard. We're going to have to... We're going to have to pull forward and back up and adjust this a little bit. And like that. There we go. So one thing, remember, you always want to plant with consideration to how the heck you're going to harvest it. So if we want to start with the end rows there right at the entrance so the combine can basically go in and get started right away. That's what we want to do. So then back it up and crank the tractor. Don't go in the ditch. And I think that's pretty good right there. So let's lower. And if we set up our GPS track straight here, then we should be good to just hit it 90 degrees for the rest of the field. So let's just move on over and... I think, were we 90? I think we were 90. Probably were 90 before. All right, I wish that they had an angle for the GPS track of those lines, but oh well. All right, so let's hit the GPS and let's get going. We don't need the lines. And there we go. So now, since that is if that was another person's field, it's already been planted. We would not want to drive on it. However, for us, well... Actually, again, you have to think about how to turn the combine. So sometimes it's easier to do it like this. I mean, either way, you're kind of going to have to open up the field a little bit messy and knock some corn down to be able to get some access here. But I'm thinking if we stop about a planter's width away, then yeah, we'll kind of have to drive straight and knock things over. But it'll be a little bit easier to get around the turn, I think. No, it won't. We got to go straight. Let's go straight. Because then with our combine, we can give ourselves some room to turn around. That's what we want to do. And since we own that other field, like I said, we can drive out on it. If we were, remember, if that was somebody else's field, we would not want to do that because that's just not very courteous. But, I don't know. Some farmers don't really care. They're like, oh, whatever. I'll just turn around on their field. But it's just kind of a finer point thing that I don't really like to do. So, yeah, I don't do it. Let's turn around here, and we're gonna leave a patch of 24 going that way, so we don't have to back up all the way because we want to be able to, it's gonna be a little tight for the combine there in the corner, but we want to go all the way to the end, right? So we'll harvest all the way to the end there, and then we will have some long rows going this way. So we'll open up the field a little bit more that way. I think that's about what we want. So that looks pretty good there. All right, let's be off. With the field of view, I actually hated it at first, but it is kind of nice how these implements, a lot of these implements have a focus on the actual tool itself. So you can get some pretty cool, gameplay shots, I think. I think we can have some really cool cinematics on this map. So over here, I think we're going to want to do the same thing. stop about 24 rows in, and that'll be the long rows. Those are actually a little bit crooked. We're gonna have to do some pointer rows there with the rest of the field. So kind of pointer rows are just kind of end rows along an edge that's not perfectly straight. So what we're gonna actually do is we're gonna travel down to the rest of our field using the cab. Let's just hop inside here. We'll set up our long rows first. And so what we want to do is we're going to want to turn 90. And let's turn back on the lines just so we can see. And that is, we're going to have to adjust things a little bit over here for planting right there. All right, so we want a little bit over. Let's go to the right. And this is something that is nice in real life because you can memorize, you can commit all these, you can save these courses in the tractor, and that way you don't have to set them up every year. The tractor just knows, it remembers them with the memory. But it's, yeah. Anyway, let's keep going here. Let's see if we can get a glimpse of Michael somewhere over there. I'm not sure where he's at. Looks like, I don't know. I hope he's not in that field. Is the draw distance that short in this game? It's hard. Yeah, he's down there on the south side, or the southeast side of field 2. That's not that far away, but I can't even see him. Hopefully he'll pop into view here soon. Yeah, that's one of the sad things about the, there he is. That's one of the sad things about the game, where I really wish that you could see things over a longer distance, the implements and the tractors. I mean, with the level of detail scheme that they use, where you have a rough image of it really far away and then up close it gets more detailed, I don't see why they can't do something like that. But yeah, again, I'm not I don't know myself, because I'm not really a programmer or a modeler. I don't really understand that side of the game, but it would be nice if you could do that. But here we're gonna have to do a little bit of trickery. We're gonna have to curve around the fence there. So let's back up next to our other field, and we can actually get rid of the lines here and try to get the planter straight and the tractor straight right on the edge, and I think we just about got it right there. Look at that. We got it, guys. Okay, so now we want to go forward, drop the planter, and be off. We don't want to hit that. Let me give ourselves a little bit more of a view. And you know what? While I'm here, how about can we open up this door? It's some nice weather. We can open up that door. Get a little bit of dust in the cab. A little bit, it's a little bit chilly, so. All right, so we're gonna have to curve there. We don't want to hit. This is part that's fun in real life, because when you're going close to things, it's each planter has like an ideal. Oh, that's gonna be too close, I think. Each planter has an ideal speed limit that you want to try to drive at to give you the best possible yield. And if you're going less than that, then it's not working. You know, so it might be like 99% versus 98%, but that's a huge amount over the course of a field. So you know, like every time you slow down, you're gonna be losing out on some yield. So it's kind of like, but then like you have to go a little bit slower because you don't want to hit a fence post. It's kind of a fun aspect of farming around stuff like this in real life. And let's go back, and I don't think I'm close enough to the edge. We might be, actually, if we keep that angle and then cut it at the very end. Okay, there we go. Now we'll cut it, try to get straightened out with the tractor, and the planter's straight, so we just need to straighten out the tractor and call that good, I think. Let's lower. Yeah, we're gonna call that one good. And we want to go forwards. All right, so now actually, I could actually hit our GPS, but just in case that is curved over there on the side, don't want to go into the, it looks like it's pretty straight. I think we're good there. Yeah. Pretty close, kind of pretty close. Wouldn't you say? I would. So this is the Berkey farm. They don't farm anymore, but we are actually related to them. So let's lift up there, and we're gonna need another end road there. So let's go on down. And this is fun. That's too much of a, we don't want to curve that. That'd just be a little crazy. So let's go and we'll drop it at the, well, let's see. Think about how you're gonna, no, I think it'd be best actually if we drop it back here. Right? Because combine coming around, if we want to ever take that path, yeah, we want to drop it here so that we can open up this path a little bit, I think. No, actually we don't. We want to go straight along those paths so that way we can go past where we're at now and then drop it, and then we'll be able to get to this section. That's right. So here, we want to do the same thing where if we basically want to stop right there. Okay. So now going forward a little bit more, and this is the crooked path. So this is the one where we're just gonna have to make it a little bit ugly, but farmers got to do what a farmer's got to do. All right, let's get back there as flush as possible to the edge of the field, and I think that's about the angle that we want. That's I mean, it's crooked, but it's straight relative to the edge of the field because the road does curve there, so does the field. So let's drop it like that, and we're going to want to stay about that distance away from the ditch there. Maybe a little bit closer. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, that's about right there. Okay, we got it. We got it, guys. We're doing stuff and things. We're planting beautiful, beautiful corn. Yes, we are on corn. I actually checked my HUD right when I said that because they're like, oh, that'd be embarrassing. Getting a little bit over too much in the ditch there. And let's see, here's where we see if I stopped correctly. Yeah, just about perfect there. All right, so now that's pretty good. So if you imagine how we planted, the combine can come in here and right, because these are straight, the combine can come in there, those rows, and then they'll be able to get to these relatively easy, open up that side part of the field, but they'll also be able to come down here, harvest along this edge, and remember, you can't, it's a road crop, you can't just turn and cut randomly. You can't cut things at diagonal. It's got to be the direction that you planted it. So, you know, if you imagine the combine coming down here, it's gonna, granted we have a 12-row planter, so it'll be 2 rows. You'll have to do a little bit of backing up and work your way in. But then once this is open up, you have the long rows open back there. And then once these long rows are opened up, then you can cut back here and turn around, and it'll be a little bit sharp, but you'll be able to turn around and finish opening up the field around the rest of your end rows. And then at least one edge of the field will be completely opened up. And when I talk about opening up fields in my Let's Play, that's what you do. It's a similar process with stereo crops or, you know, drilled crops, but it's kind of the same methodology because you don't want to just turn because then you're kind of mushing down the edge of those crops a little bit. Soybeans you can kind of do that some, but not quite as easily. And yeah, that's gonna make my dad mad. Yeah, that's in real life. I stop, I drop it all the way, and then I go. And the reason why that is because if you start going or if you drop it on the fly, I do that a little bit just for gameplay. But if you drop it on the fly, your downforce is changing there as you're planting because you're actually moving forward, and unless you drop it early enough, you might not be getting proper downforce by the time the seed units start dropping seed. So That's a critical element to planting. You got to have the proper downforce. It gives you the proper depth in the ground. They've done research. I've mentioned this before. They've done research, and basically every kernel needs to sprout through the ground within 24 hours of each other. Otherwise, the growth is going to be permanently stunted because it's permanently going to be shorter than the rest of the crops next to it, and not get enough sunlight. And it adds up and it compounds exponentially. Here, I think we're going to make another end row, just to make it a little bit easier to turn around. If we didn't have the fence there, I think we could get away with just one. But we don't want to have to deal with that every single time. And there's some of that famous lag. I don't know. It's got to be something with the planter, I think, because when I was doing the strip till rig on the stream, let's do this proper. When I was doing the strip till rig on the stream, well, you know what? It'll make it a little bit harder to turn around in the fall, but I think we'll just put up with it because that's kind of a weird corner. That's a really weird corner. I think let's just put up with it. Let's try to turn in here. Whoops. And we might have to back up a little bit. Yeah, we're gonna have to back up a little bit, but that's fine. All right, so let's get our planter straightened out a little bit, and well, we probably should have done another one, but this could be a little bit messy here because we're gonna have auto shut off, so we're gonna have to drop it back there so those outer ones plant. And even though, oops, that was really off. That was bad. Okay, yeah, we probably should have planted more end rows back there. That was really sloppy. But at least we can see Michael. Michael's doing a fine job out there. Look at that. He planted, he basically did the same thing I did. Look at that. That's awesome. I love seeing people play with it. It just makes it feel so real. He planted along his curved path a little bit. He has, if you look at the way Field 2 does, it's ugly there next to the house. So you kind of got to do that. So he planted that end path first, the end rows first along the outside, and then now he's doing his straight rows. Just perfect. Just like Dad's done for years. Just like I've done for years. And there we go. Let's hop inside the cab here again. This field's going to be done in no time. Once you have those end rows set up, and whoa, where is my? I thought I hit the GPS button earlier. Once you have those end rows set up on a field like this with the planter this big, you get it completed in no time. The end rows are the longest, but that's why you do the end rows, to make the rest of your field efficient. That's the whole point of end rows. You want as much efficiency and as good as yield as possible. That's exactly what Michael and I are doing. As we grow the farm, we will eventually probably get 3 planters. You wouldn't probably have 3 planters in real life unless you, you'd have to farm a lot of ground to have 3 planters. That'd be a lot more ground than this little section. But maybe if we eventually go over, we save, I think 16, 17, 18 is the next, oh, there's a little bit of lag. I think 16, 17, 18 is the next logical purchase prices, and then work our way to 14 and 15. Those are going to be some fun fields to farm. There's a lot of multiple. Those are actually, okay, so when I talk about the white lines as being one field, the big ones like that are actually an exception. You have to look at, in a lot of cases, you have to look at the texture, and that will clue you in. For example, 14, if you see how I have that dark section, the waterways in that field, so that is actually farmed as a few separate fields. I could pull it back up actually on the GIS on the Tazewell County, but maybe we'll look at that because I don't actually farm that myself. One of our neighbors does that I know. We actually are kind of not formal partners with them, but we help each other out a lot. He's a much bigger farmer than us, but he's really awesome. So I know he farms that. Well, he used to actually. We actually almost bought that land. We actually almost bought 14. All of that is Duffelmeyer Farm. Some of the prettiest it's really, really pretty. And the reason why we didn't buy it is because they only offered it to, it was kind of a, you know, land only goes for sale once in a lifetime. I kind of really regret not buying it, especially if I move back home and farm. I'm going to look at that land every single time when I turn around on field 6, you know, or 7 or 9. We farm part of 15. I'll see it from there too. I mean, I did this last year too. It's like you see that field and it's like that could have been ours. We could have been farming that. But the problem was it's hilly. The land isn't as good. They wanted it was a pretty fair price, but our calculations were it was actually worth less than what they were asking. And to top it all off, they did not want you to be able to exit from their driveway to get to the road. If you drive the map, you'll know Duffelmeyer Lane. I mean, so it's named after their farm, really. They don't farm anymore. They just leased out the land to other farmers, and they were looking at selling it. And they didn't want anybody to be able to use their lane. So that would have meant we would have had to farm all of 14. I mean, that's like almost the same size as our current farm, and haul all the crops out through the lane up the house. So basically starting at field 6, at the eastern border of field 6, haul all those crops out there through, you know, to go all the way west to the road, and then hit the highway, and then head on to the grain elevator. And that's, you know, it's not the best ground. It's on hilly. It can be muddy. It's really, really hard. If any of you drive semi trucks, you guys know how easy semi trucks are to get stuck. We don't use tippers with tractors out here. The tractors aren't really geared for road driving anyway. It's so you use trucks to move grain, and typically have to move it a long ways, and so tractors aren't really quite as practical for us. But the it's a lot of grain to move out through, you know, conditions that just aren't always the greatest. And I mean, maybe if we had more money and we could like put a lot more gravel down that lane, or even pave it or something like that, then that would be awesome. But we just, you know, we didn't have the money to do that, and so it went to another farmer who already owns a lot of land. It would have been great to see a small farmer conquer, you know, in that scenario. And that's really, I don't know, it's kind of sad, because if any of this ground goes to open auction, there's no way we can compete. Other farmers are going to pay twice what it's worth just to get it under their control. And I don't know. I think about that a lot. But yeah, I think we're going to go around, let's see. We're going to pack it up. We're going to go, well, you know what? We're not going to pack up. We own this field, and we just planted it. We're going to drive over on the end roads just a little bit more. We're going to go on over here to field number, what is this, 3, I think? No, 4. We're going to go over to field number 4 and maybe plant an end row or 2, but no, that guy's going to get really mad at us for driving on his yard. But he can just live with it. So let's just lower and go here. We'll plant an end row, and then I think we're gonna go on this. In this instance, right? Since we own that field, I think that we are only going to plant 24 end rows is big enough for the combine. I think we're gonna just plant 24, and then for turning purposes, we can turn around on our other field. And whoops, this is ugly. I just should have used GPS. I just made this really ugly. And then I didn't stop. Yeah, this is, I'm starting to get a little bit tired because I'm messing up. I should have stopped at basically a planter's width for that field. But let's just get down there. We're just gonna plant the end rows along this field, and we're gonna get our GPS lines back just so we can see where they are at, and that's actually pretty close. Unfortunately, we actually didn't get to plant that field over there because that was already planted when we bought it. So here we go now. I could actually have joined Michael with the rest of his field, but let's get things situated here. And let's see. We're gonna want to go. Whoops. We're gonna want to go over a little bit more. We'll probably plant down. We're gonna get the end rows going, and then I'll be done here for a little bit. And I mean, it's kind of a shame. I just this episode's going on pretty long, but maybe we should just finish the planting, and then we'll be ready to fast forward a little bit with some spraying. Get things ready for the fall. I mean, the fall's going to be upon us before we know it. And we do only have one combine, one auger wagon, and one semi. However, wow, that's pretty bad lag there. But we do have some more things to do in the fall. So even if we get more than a few people for harvest, then we're still going to want to, you know, we're going to be disking the corn stalks. We're going to be laying down some fertilizer on the corn, you know, kind of lime. I talked about that a little bit, actually. I want to get the lime, on here because I think that'd be awesome. But we don't have that yet, so we'll just simulate fertilizer for now. And then, of course, we're going to strip till the bean ground, get it ready for the spring with corn planting. So that's the game plan there. Here we go. This is actually David Deemer. This is my dad's cousin. They live right there well, not there anymore. They live a little bit further down in Groveland, but this is their pony farm. I'm actually kind of ashamed. I don't know too much about his pony farm. I just know that he's won a lot of awards, and people come from all over the U.S. to buy ponies from him, and stuff like that. But he's getting older. I think they're scaling back a little bit with what they're doing. And oh my goodness, yeah. Here's another thing I wasn't stopping. I drove into somebody's yard. So in real life, this would, you know, it's not another farmer that you can just kind of share where you drive onto his to turn around, he drives onto yours to turn around. This is somebody's yard, and those you don't do that. So I would have actually had to stop back here, and then it actually might have been better to do that anyway, but I didn't. So that's kind of bad on me for that. But we're gonna not want to have to deal with that same thing again. So we're gonna want more end rows down here. We don't want to have to deal with the fence. We don't want to turn around in somebody else's yard. So let's back up here and drop the planter. I should have used a marker since I'm not using GPS. That would have been ideal. But oh well. I mean, we're so close to finishing this field. Maybe I should just finish. I don't know. Man, it is cloudy today. But there's no rain. Maybe I should just finish. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm not streaming, so you won't be able to know until after the fact. But let's just do it. It shouldn't take very long to finish this field. Not very long at all. And then all the crops will be done planted. So let's hop on the GPS path there and see where Michael's at. It looks like he's turning around. He's getting pretty close to done. We'll hop on over and finish up with him if he's not done in time by the time we're done. But we're on the long rows now. Like I was saying before, it's the efficient part of what we're doing, right? So we're just about done. Hopefully we have enough fertilizer to finish. That would be a shame. If we run out of fertilizer, I'll probably stop. Yeah, I don't want to have to go all the way there to fill up with fertilizer. Let's turn around here and get the path. A little bit crooked there, and no, we're not gonna do that. That's way too sloppy. If I would have timed it right, I would have just kept going, even though that's not what we do in real life. It would have been good enough for me, but let's get out here a little bit and watch Michael plant, so we can get both of us. And actually, let's do a little bit of that action. There we go. Look at that. Getting me, getting Michael. Oh, just disappeared. Yeah, it's the view distances on tractors are so small. I hate that. With the level of detail that you know, I mean, you can see trees and there's no problem. So why can't you put a tractor image that's not very intense on the graphics, far away, and just show a blip or something over there? I don't know. Another critique of this planter is I noticed the outside wheels do not have tire tracks. That's very annoying. Oh, no, they do. There's that tire track. Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I didn't think they had it, but I guess they do. I don't know. Oh, well. That's, yeah. That's a little weird. I didn't think they had them, but I guess I just saw it there. Anyway, let's get back into Michael. Looks like he is almost done. He is pretty close. I think he's probably going to beat me. Of course, I added 2 fields, but I think the size is about the same. Maybe not. Although with 2 fields, it is a lot more setup because, and I did it again. With 2 fields, a lot more setup. Anytime you have to do stop and do end rows, it's just not the same. And I think he is, he's probably gone. I wonder if he's going back to the farm. What a dark and miserable and gloomy day. This is a little bit crazy. That tree, I was actually talking about my stream, that tree is actually gone in real life. We cut it down. It's just, anytime you can cut down a tree when you're a corn farmer, corn needs a lot of sunlight, so you typically remove every obstruction as possible. And it seems like every time I turn, I lag just a little bit. So, yeah, see? I think it's something with these planters. These planters just have a lot of physics that are moving. A lot of moving parts here. And, I don't know. Maybe we should look into getting some other planters. I love these planters. They're awesome for single player. Uh-oh. Talking and, not paying attention. Well, we're gonna run out of fertilizer. Do we finish the field? I think that little bit is... Goodness, I mean, you wouldn't do that in real life, but... Well, actually... I wonder... With the Pro Seed mod, you can actually shut off half your planter, right? If I shut off half the planter, I can actually, no. I don't think it'll last. Yeah, we're basically done. But, we still have seed. I think I'll just finish. This isn't that much. I was thinking about using the Pro Seed mod to finish, you know, turn off the planter and finish the other bit there, but I don't think so. I don't think that's worth it. Yeah. Yeah, let's just go and say goodbye to Michael. And the next time you see this will probably be fast forward time spraying. Probably one spraying is all we're gonna need on these fields. Of course, we only have 1 sprayer, so that's gonna be some poor unfortunate soul. But whoops, planted a little bit. Oh no, that was the cornfield, and now we're in another cornfield. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn off things. We're gonna drive down on the end rows. Well, that's a little ugly. We want to get over to here. This is what we should have done. If we drive on the actual rows, it's not like you're not really doing any more damage because the compaction's already done. You're driving along the same track that you already have compacted. That's what the research shows. Most of the compaction happens on the first pass. So if you're driving down the exact same path and you're not planting, you're not doing anything else, then it's basically not causing any problems. But of course, I wasn't really doing that. I wasn't paying attention. Let's get ready to go back out and go home. Cycle through all the views there. We've got that curve's dangerous. I think we are good to go. And yeah, and just as I say, here comes another car screaming along at 50 miles an hour. Although that's right, there is a speed zone just down there, so they have to slow down a little bit coming this way. I've seen people pass tractors like right here at that curve, a blind curve when you can't see around. People are just so impatient. It's ridiculous. But we are done planting for the very first year. We have got a lot of seed in the ground. We got a lot of fields. I think that we might, you know, just for fun, we might want to buy another combine if we get a lot of help during the harvest. But I don't know. There's actually a lot of work to do with the fall tillage, so probably not. I think we're fine. I think I'll pull in and actually can turn off our hazard. We need to wash off this planter before we park it. So that's what we'll do, and then we will be done for the day, I think. And let's just park right there. Okay, I'll let somebody else maybe log in and watch that. So I think that will be all for today. Got a good whoa. Uh-oh. We need to activate a parking brake, maybe. What is parking brake? End? I forget what the parking brake is. You know what? That'll stop it. Oops. No. Don't unfold. I was thinking you could lower without unfolding, but I guess not. Let's just go back and park it up there on level ground. I forget what the hotkey is for parking brake, but this is a little bit easier. They did the sound really well on that. And we're still gonna go. What is the parking brake? I forget what button the parking brake is. Oh, well, I suppose maybe is the planter the one that's moving us? The planter's moving. Look at that. See, yeah, so there's something wonky with that planter. I'm going to have to work on the MR mod a little bit with that planter. It's moving when... Look at that. That's a lot of stuff to calculate. That's got to be the problem with the server, because driving around tractors, I didn't notice any other problems. So I'm gonna work on those planters a little bit, and if we can't fix those planters, then we're gonna get rid of them and get something else. So let me just say I'm all done. Also, just got back home. I'm gonna sign off here. I'm gonna say goodbye to Michael and Platinum Turbo, and I didn't really talk to Platinum Turbo too much, so I feel bad for that. I was trying to talk and entertain you guys, and we're gonna fix those planters. I think that's part of the problem, because look at this. Even when it's not moving, it's not even moving in the ground. It's moving. Look at all that stuff. That's all stuff that the game engine has to try to calculate, and the server just can't keep up. So that's got to be the issue with the server there. I'm going to work on those a little bit, and like I said, if I can't fix it, I'm just going to... You know what? Maybe I could just make them non-moving components. It'll be a little bit sad, but I think that might be what the best solution is. So that's just too much moving stuff. all those individual boxes. I'll have to try to make them all move as one or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, I think I'm gonna sign off and be done. It's been a really good, productive episode, and let's get a shot maybe of Michael coming back home. I think he turned around when I said I was all done. Maybe not. Yep, there he is. So let's sign off there with watching Michael come up the lane. And I thank you all for joining me on this extra long episode of Tazewell County. Like I said at the very beginning, eventually this will be available to the people on my Discord. I think I'll do it something like the people at the SimStation Survivor level and above. Just let me get to know you a little bit over there on Discord, and I will invite you to the server once it releases to the public. Like I said, we'll be doing that. So yeah, thank you all for joining the stream, and yeah, it even lagged right there as he was coming home. It was a little bit big tires for planting, but the tractor I don't think had enough traction without them for planting. So it actually doesn't really matter. I was actually looking at that. Those are not. I don't believe those are spaced out as 30 rows or 30-inch rows. That looks more like 20-inch rows. I don't know. I don't think that's quite 30. But that looks like 30. See, that looks like 30. Those are spaced out a little bit more. I guess I could compare it in Giants Editor, but anyway, I think we're done. I think thanks again, guys. Look at that beautiful planter. Goodbye, everybody. And until next time, I will see you guys all soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.